Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back
What's happening?
to another episode of The Strange Road. I'm your host, Mikey, as always, riding shotgun. Bub, how you doing, Bub?
I'm great.
Yeah, what's happening? Strange happenings.
Lots.
That's what's happening. And as
trick
always,
question? Was that a trick question?
It was. I thought I'd get in your head early on, and we'll see how feisty we can get.
Okay.
As always, of course, Stoner, Master Control, the Wizard, hitting all the magical buttons, making everything look awesome. And Disbro's riding with Stone and Master Control once again. Thank both of them so much. We see Necros in the chat. Tombstone, what's happening? Flutz. Anybody watching, listening, thank you for being with us.
We appreciate it.
We really do. And we have last week was fun. We got to be on D.A. Roberts' Ex Machina podcast. What a ball that was. We went 4 hours. Necro made an incredible image.
Yes, he did.
Post-show image collage.
We always enjoy
D.A. got such a kick out of it. I was chatting with him on the side. He absolutely was losing it.
Yeah. Tombs. Are you coming in from down under?
Yeah.
Today.
Hey.
There you go. Sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack you there.
Oh, no. There'll be plenty of sidetracks. I'm prepared.
Yeah, the show with DA and Robbie and Anthony.
Shout out to Robbie and Anthony.
Thank you guys for having us on. Thank you for the hospitality, the great conversation.
That was fun.
All the laughs, all the movie references. I don't know.
We got them on so many tangents. Well, I'd like to say you probably are always the majority of getting people. But Anthony, he really liked to sidetrack.
Both of us together, yeah.
Yeah, Skyline Chili conversations to...
That's what you call two left turns, somehow making a right.
But lots of subscribers from the DAX Machina crew, family.
Yeah.
Whatever they like to be called. But, the supporters of that show... made their way over to our little show. So, we have some new subscribers, so we really appreciate the opportunity to kind of get in front of some folks that maybe never knew about the Strange Road. So it's cool.
Yeah, it definitely, I don't think of us as guests a lot of time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think of myself as a guest-worthy person. I'm like, hey, if somebody wants to let me ask them like a bunch of questions and kind of like politely interrogate you for a few hours, like that's great.
Yep.
But I don't ever think of myself necessarily as a guest. So that was kind of fun to get on there and like I told somebody earlier, just get out what we like talking about too. Like not that we don't enjoy having guests but kind of strange happenings lets us do a little bit.
Yeah.
But we still have to rely on the headline or topic to come out in the news, right?
Yeah.
When we went on DA's show, we were just like, let us loose. That's why I was like, when we hit 4 hours doing that live stream, I was like, 4 hours. Oh my goodness.
And look, we have Burton Moran from Local Legends.
What up, Burton?
Burton, what's happening? Chatting, sidebarring with Burton. Could be something brewing with Burton.
Trying to get the
Local Legends.
Get the brew going.
There could be some things in the works for something this week. Maybe.
So much fun.
We shall see. So we'll keep an ear for that. Did you want to read through some shout outs, Bob?
Yeah, I can dig through some of these here quick. So just to give some preface to this, right? Like we are really close to hitting some metrics. It's one of the things you have to look at to grow a show. We want to make it bigger so we can reach more people, and obviously so we can kind of do this a little bit easier than we currently do, right? It takes a good amount of effort, but we really enjoy doing it. So we can't really stop ourselves. And it's kind of like mining for gold is the way I think of it almost. Like, I want to be able to get in front of people. And if you don't like our stuff, that's one thing. That's totally understandable. We're not your bag. We don't appeal to you. I get it. Not everything is for everybody. I don't watch everything. You don't have to. But to have that opportunity to get in front of people on DA's show and be able to kind of have that opening, that's where we got Joseph Beer. That's where we got Chrissy Painter, Angel Valadares, Jesse Peacock, Tack, Sabrina E., Quaybot, Sheila Ebeline. I mean, we've got like 3 or 4 pages. Ryan Corbin, Susan Brookman. We had a lot of you guys and gals jumping in the show the other night. We had a lot of really nice comments of like, can't wait to have the Strange Road back on, part 2, et cetera. It was just like, all right,
I'm working on a part 2 with DA right now.
Yeah, like
there are some things that I'd like to get a little deeper. DA is into the Giants and has been kind of digging into that. But that's a topic that we can definitely dive deeper into. And kind of super hush hush, we have a guest that's a giant researcher
Oh yeah.
We're not going to spill the beans just yet, but
Coming up
in an area where you wouldn't expect there to be giants or giant legends or giant skeletons, but stay tuned for that.
Yeah, excited for that.
We did a research episode on giant skeletons in the Smithsonian. That was one of our early episodes. That's getting hit all the time. People seem to all of a sudden found that and are listening to it.
Yeah.
So there we go.
I mean, think of it, though. We've always had stories of giants, even if you go all the way back to Jack and the Beanstalk type thing and, the Disney animated. It's not like it's something that is brand new. It's always, everybody's had that kind of woven through your history if you've heard those stories as a kid.
Right.
So, maybe it's one of those things you kind of plant that seed, like, hey, it's normal. Yeah, there used to be giants and,
Well, we actually have an article today that's about giants. We're not going to go there just yet.
Not yet.
But we shall get there. Is there anybody else we want to shout out? I know that's a long list. Pretty much anybody that is listening to our show or has subscribed or is...
we appreciate all of you.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate the heck out of it.
Very much.
We are definitely, it's one of the things we keep looking at. You want to see growth in anything you do, whether you're playing an instrument or, learn how to make cheese at home or whatever your passion is. You want to get better at it, right? You always want to get better at it. And we hold ourselves to a pretty high standard of like, we'll get done. I watch the shows because I want to know, what did I say that didn't make any sense? Like when I said it's a marathon, not a race. And I should have said it's a marathon, not a sprint. But
and we have Disbro's really good at catching those.
Yeah.
And telling us after the show, like, hey, Bub, all right, you had a real dinger this one. No.
It's so good. I want to actually film that room while we're filming this room so I can watch that show after we do this show.
We're thinking about streaming that on like Twitch or Twitter, Instagram, maybe TikTok.
That'd be so
you
much
stream
fun.
that to TikTok.
Okay, anyhow, let's
get to it.
Let's
you got the first article.
Let's dive in. So, okay, we're going to swing right back around to where we started last week because the game isn't over yet. The riot hasn't stopped. Everybody's piggy bank is getting turned upside down and shook right now, and the government's coming in and putting the money right back in there and then some because, oops, 200-some billion at Silicon Valley Bank, if that evaporates, that's a big problem. Here's what the biggest problem I have with it. Like didn't your daughter say, why aren't they just more responsible?
To that effect.
Like basically.
Try to explain this stuff to children, and they just have the most unbelievably...
easy answer. Just why did you do it?
Direct.
And that's the thing. You had companies that were saying they were making this much money when they weren't. They were fudging their projections.
They're just doing the wrong thing.
They're venture capitalists. I'm sorry. I mean, they play with money to try to make things work. And if it does work, cool. And if it doesn't, I'm not trying to oversimplify it. Obviously, there are people who do very good things with that. I'm not trying to paint everybody with the same brush. But this isn't a new story.
So we covered
the
last week SVB, Silicon Valley Bank. So this week is UBS
Silvergate,
is buying Credit Suisse.
Credit Suisse.
So there's kind of this like internal bailout.
The bank in New York that went under. You have the massive Credit Suisse deal that's going on. You have governments across the world now, not just the U.S. It's over in Europe.
Yeah.
So we're seeing it kind of starting to shake a little bit, and now we're having, what are we going to insure up to? And then is it, well, only the big banks are the banks that get the bailout, and you're a small community bank, you do everything right. Sorry, you're not big enough that we need to care if you go down.
Right.
So it's kind of scary. It's are they trying? Not they.
The community banks are going to get stuck with the bag.
Do we really want?
They're not going to get
to have just like 4 banks in the U.S. Like you're either at this one or this one or this one or this one. No, I like going back home and I see all the little community banks. Yeah. That's a good thing. We need that
Osgood
diversity.
State Bank.
Right.
The Maria Stein.
Right.
Yeah, all those.
So just a little update. So this article comes from PBS NewsHour, and it's from March 16th. It says Federal Reserve lent $300 billion in emergency funds to banks in the past week. Cash short banks have borrowed about $300 billion from the Fed in the past week, the central bank announced Thursday. Nearly half the money, $143 billion, went to holding companies for 2 major banks that failed over the past week, Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. Now, Signature Bank is out of New York, so triggering widespread alarm in financial markets. The Fed did not identify the banks that received the other half of the funding or say how many of them did so. The holding companies for 2 failed banks were set up by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC, which has taken over both banks. The money they borrowed was used to pay their uninsured depositors with bonds owned by both banks posted as collateral. The FDIC has guaranteed the repayment of the loans, the Fed said. And they kind of tear through this a little bit and say that, the figures are providing a glimpse of the scale of the Fed's assistance to the financial sector after the 2 banks collapsed over this weekend. So
how much money are they printing to prop up these black holes of losses?
Well, but it's like we said last week too, right? Well, if this bank goes down, there are other banks tied into that bank.
Oh man,
almost unequivocally. Think of it like a suspension bridge. It's like a suspension bridge, and if one piece of that banking system, no matter sometimes how small, I'll say small, but you can be a smaller big bank. You can't be a mom and pop's bank where everybody's FDIC insured up to $250,000 and nobody's over that. That's not a big deal.
Right.
But they are tied together so much now that, they're going to have to prop each other up. And with Silicon Valley Bank, nobody wanted to buy it. I don't even know if anybody still bought it.
No.
Like that's why the government has to step in. Everybody else in the banking sector looked at that and said, "This is terrible. This is a terrible idea." So the rest of the money was borrowed by banks seeking to raise cash. They weren't going out, but they're trying to raise cash. So likely, at least in part, to pay off depositors who tried to withdraw their money. Many mega banks, such as Bank of America, have reported receiving inflows of funds from smaller banks since the bank failures last weekend. So there we go. We're going to see little banks where people go, I'm not safe at my community bank. I need to go into a Chase. I need to go into a Bank of America. I need to be in a Wells Fargo. I have to be in whatever.
And like Necro's saying here in the comments, the Fed coin is coming.
Oh, that's another
what
step
we were
in the
talking about
chain.
this earlier today when we were kind of preparing
Central
for
Bank Digital
this
Currency,
conversation.
CBDC.
Yes, and your social credit scores on that, and if you're someone that says something that's not part of the playbook on the internet, or you're open about something,
kill switch
that goes against. Hey, guess what? You can't go outside the country. You can't use your coin. That's where it starts to get. And is that these banks. Is this all a part of some kind of systematic change where today Xi Jinping just said, use the terminology, bringing in a new world order.
Where have we heard that before too?
Yeah, Bush in 1991, the New World Order speech.
Reagan
President
may have
Bush.
said it as well. There's a lot of different instances of saying the New World Order. I mean, central bank digital currency frightens me.
Well.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you couldn't just turn off my bank account too, but if it's all CBDC and everything's just digital, because it's effectively what money is, right? At the bank, they say, Mr. Hanley, you have this much money in your account. It's just a number. They only have to hold, I think, up to 10% of the deposited total. So if you give them $100, they got to keep 10 of that.
Right.
Right.
And the rest is just
this is one of the problems that we
numbers.
have. This is one of the problems that we have is what they do with our money to try to make money, and the bets that they make.
And they're losing. They're losing. That's what's going on here, right?
And now there's regulation
they have a bunch
that's
of puts,
trying to be.
And they're,
Well, that's another.
Options that are belly up.
That's another problem with Credit Suisse and Bill Hwang from Archegos, and why Credit Suisse has a very big swap position that is not a good one. And it's, tied back to the, I'll use the term conspiracy, but to the analysis of the meme stocks and GameStop and Bed Bath & Beyond, and where all of these different positions were hid and moved and shifted. And so again, when I'm watching this, I'm watching 2 stories unfold. I'm watching the banking sector, which is inherently tied into Wall Street. But then you also have these other sectors, like venture capital firms don't necessarily have any involvement in that. They just have a lot of money, and
it's being stored in those banks.
A lot of money.
Right.
Like there were certain companies that had undisclosed amount of billions of dollars at that place. You cannot lose billions of dollars. So that was the big, that's one of the unique things about Silicon Valley Bank though too, is if that was any other bank, would the government step in for this?
Right. No.
Because it's a unique situation where there's a lot of
how deep does
money,
the web go?
A lot of money that's not you keeping your money there. It's not some millionaire keeping his extra millions. It's a unique situation that it was like, this is like a powder keg of money that's propping up a giant sector of the U.S., especially out west and again in the bigger cities where tech and startups, health startups are.
Yep.
So that's why Like, I'm watching this. You know, we've also, this is another kind of deeper level, but the reverse repo rate, the amount of money that banks park overnight at the Fed's facility to gain a small amount of interest, because for the past 2 years, they have not had confidence in the stock market to invest that money.
Yeah.
But you can't hold it on your balance sheet as a debt. You don't want it as a liability. So every night they park it. Every day, something like $2 trillion changes hands. And that's only ballooned up since all of the meme stock saga craziness. So again, I could be terribly wrong. It's not financial advice. I have no degree in investing. No, don't follow me on that.
But Bob has some good theories.
Man, I'm telling you, something's going to happen.
Well,
something's got to happen. Anyhow, that's my soapbox.
Get your popcorn ready.
Just keep your eyes open. Watch your money. Watch your retirements. Watch where you're investing. At this point, no entity is too big to fail at this point.
Bitcoin hit 28,000 today.
You know why?
It's like a month ago, it was at 18, 19.
People are moving money there, and they're buying physical gold and physical silver and physical platinum, and they're buying commodities instead of securities. Rushing
back into crypto. Some people are hesitant with everything that's happened with FTX, and that's a whole nother part, which seemed like the beginning of all of this that we're seeing now, was how many banks and different groups were connected into Alameda Research and FTX.
Let me give you a couple of my favorite
billions of money that just disappeared over there.
Okay. FRC, First Republic Capital. The stock collapsed 90% in 6 months. Yet analysts were recommending to buy First Republic. Of 23 recommendations since 2023, 12 were buys, 10 were holds. Only last week, when regional banks began collapsing, did some analysts change their positions to hold. This is what I've kind of tried to say before too. Like, you've got to be, if you're watching the stock market from that aspect of like what's just being reported to you, and again, those ratings agencies will tell you like, hey, you know, they're still a buy. Jim Cramer will tell you, hey, it's still a great buy. Don't sell, you know, Silicon Valley, don't sell SVB, don't sell this.
It's a good buy.
He was telling people to sell Bitcoin, and then it rallied for, he inverse that guy. Whatever he recommends, go the other way.
Somebody do like puts?
They do an inverse ETF of his calls. So UBS chairman just said after taking Credit Suisse positions, these guys were saying that Credit Suisse went down because of social media. That's some of the answers for these. That's crazy.
What, it was some kind of a bad look because people on social media were talking about their bank failing.
The Credit Suisse chairman blamed collapse on retail investors.
Well, because there's bank runs, all that spreads through Twitter. People start freaking out. I mean, no, you're failing because you made bad bets. You didn't do so well.
Well, and you want to hear the crazier part? 60% of institutional investors said they have used Reddit for investment decisions. For the Brunswick Group. So Wall Street Bets, Super Stonk, Game Jungle, all kinds of weirdness going on. That stuff's heavily monitored.
Oh, yeah.
And infiltrated with... It's wild. I'll get off that. Go ahead. I'll get off that.
Are we... Okay, we're ready to move on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I got way too much fire for all that.
Do a whole show and let Bob just rant about this stuff. That's great. So
I'm with you, Bert, and he said, I just want enough money to ghost hunt and make content all the time.
Oh,
Amen.
dude, right. Because at a certain point, how much money do you really need? Like I said, I want a sweet treehouse that's connected to a hobbit hole in a really dope property with a pole barn, with a studio. And then after that, I need a camper, you know, someplace to disappear out to.
It's
not much to make me happy. You know, be able to pay for my kids if they want to go to school, little normal things, you know. What?
Bubs banking bonanza. What grinds Bubs' gears? She said spiel. Goddamn.
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh.
It certainly does grind his gears.
All right, Mikey, take us back into the strange world that we all love, not the strangeness of these depraved financial instruments of the world.
All right, we're going to take it up a notch in happiness also. Scientists are close to finding a hidden underwater civilization. And this is...
Hello.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
So this is popularmechanics.com.
We love them.
So, Doggerland is an ancient landmass submerged under what is now the North Sea, a large body of water among England, Denmark, and Norway. So this Doggerland is because, listen, Doggerland has been submerged under the North Sea, and this large body of water is nestled among the UK, Denmark, Norway for some 8,200 years now. So that's like basically a giant chunk of land that is now submerged and is essentially would probably look like some kind of underwater mountain or mass to us right now.
Sure.
So 8,200 years ago, this thing was above ground. I mean, that's really close to some of these comet impact crater theories. Did we hit a big reset button, this world flood? All the legends and myths throughout the world. So there you go. This thing is underwater. And so the Urmston will be analyzing magnetic data gathered using magnetometers, which are torpedo-shaped instruments usually towed behind a ship that leverages an atomic physics principle known as the Overhauser effect to record magnetic fields among the ocean floor. So they're scanning the ocean floor and looking for all kinds of, people have probably been using these to hunt treasure. It talks about shipwrecks, iron ore deposits.
Loch Ness.
Yeah,
they
sure.
use it for it's like dragging the dummy seal behind the boat to get the jaw, great white jaws. Sorry, I had a small TIA there. The great whites jumping out of the water at those seals. They throw them behind them, and they kind of have the same fluid dynamics as like a torpedo, and they smoothly then can scan behind them.
Right. So they're looking at trying to find things like middens, which are essentially trash dumps filled with bone and other biological material that could give an intimate snapshot of how Mesolithic Doggerlands lived. And so, you have good examples of Yonaguni, the Bimini Road. They're using magnetometers, and before they go down and dive, you want to make sure that there's something down there first.
Right.
And so, in ancient times, these shorelines, they were just so much further up into the sea.
Right.
So you start pulling back those layers, there's so much because, and the reason why it's so difficult is because you're dealing with currents.
Right.
You got to have a really specific special diver that knows what they're doing in a lot of these areas, or you have to go down and try to find these things.
Right.
Like the lost city of Krishna. They thought that was a mythological city. Turns out it's not at all. It's actually a real place off the coast of India that they really did find. That was about 5 years ago. And it just took these magnetometer scans and then eventually getting a dive team down there. But it just takes so long because, it's really hard to do.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Well, it's the water, too. I mean, you go out for a long
Currents
expedition.
are nuts.
It's not cheap.
Right.
You can't just go 10 out in your van for weeks at a time and take it easy. You got to deal with elements in a lot different manner. I'll bet Rollo likes Doggerland. Stoner's dad. Oh, man, that's good.
Oh, that's so good.
That's hilarious.
You want to pop on the next one? That's really all I had for that one.
Sure. And just to mention, I don't know if I even threw any of these articles in this week. I just want to give a shout out to you and Stoner for grabbing all these. And
I had a couple I had put in. These are all Stone.
Oh, these are all Stone. I
tossed a couple in, and
welcome to the Stoner Hour.
It's hard with sometimes they're just videos. Sometimes there's some of the articles are really, really, really long. So it's kind of hard to, you could do a whole show off of the one article that Jeffrey Wilson sent us, which is about this guy from Ohio that pretty much invented the most ecologically disastrous
twice
of the most ecologically disastrous things you could ever invent.
Yeah.
This guy from Columbus, Ohio, which then moved to Dayton and worked for the Ketterings and National Cash Register, was doing all this research that created, we'll do a whole episode on it.
It's funny you say that. that they were doing research, and everybody would be like, the cash registry was doing research.
They were a huge corporation, dude.
You know who else?
National Cash Registry.
You know who else? And I know this because I had a patient who was not an astrophysicist. She was an aerospace engineer.
Yeah.
She was like 70 years old. She said she worked for Ball Canning Aerospace. And I went, what do you mean? Like Ball, the jars, the canning jars? She's like, yeah, Ball Aerospace. That's who she worked for, and then worked at Wright Pat. I was like, I don't understand.
That's why.
She's like, they had so much money.
Military contracting.
But they make jars that can cherries and corn and
But they have an
green
aerospace
beans.
division.
Right.
Making parts for shuttles.
Right.
And,
got the Amish out there mowing down their crops with a little drone UFO. I bet the Greys are hanging out, churning butter with them. Jeez. Don't you think?
What a statement. It's a stretch. Let that exist in your mind, bub. Jeez.
That's a stretch. Yeah, it's a stretch.
It's a good stretch. I'll take it.
I'll jump into this one. So we have archaeologists in Japan have unearthed a gigantic 4th century Daiko sword that dwarfs any blade ever found in the country. This comes from art.net. And, just let me preface this by saying I know there have been other stories about giant swords, right? Like,
yeah, we covered it.
Right.
In the Giants episode.
This one.
9-footer, right?
What did they say?
The episode that we covered, or I'm sorry, the article that we had found was from like 1800s. I don't even know if it was
taller than that. It might even.
But it had a giant helmet and a 9-foot sword.
Yep. And this one says archaeologists working in Japan have unearthed a massively oversized sword, a 1,600-year-old burial site, leading researchers to believe that the unwieldy weapon was buried with the deceased to ward off evil spirits in the afterlife. Measuring a startling 7.5 feet or 2.3 meters, the iron sword was discovered as part of a dig at the Tomoyo Maruyama burial mound located west of the city of Nara. The sword is distinctive in its length and design. In addition to the exaggerated size, far too large for even a burly individual to use for a self-defense against a foe, the sword is also designed with an undulating blade pattern classified in the Daiko style. That's a big sword. Other wavy weapons dating from the 4th century have been found, but according to Riko Murase, a researcher with the Nara City Archaeological Research Center, this one is, quote, twice as big as any other swords found so far in the country. Speaking to Live Science, which first reported the discovery last month, Murase said, it was so long I doubted it was true. Stephen Mader, an archaeologist specializing in ancient swords, told the outlet, the large Daiko is rare, adding, they are prestigious objects of high society that served a ceremonial purpose. So let's pause there. Mm-hmm. So what they're saying is they're buried with them, they're for the afterlife, they're not necessarily, so it's more of a decorative, right?
Sure.
Am I right in saying that? Because
that's what their hypothesis. Yeah, that's I think they're.
It doesn't sound like they found any skeletal remains with it though, which I find weird. You find the burial of the sword, but you don't find any skeleton with it. Doesn't that seem odd? Anywho,
yeah, it could have been some kind of a decorative situation.
Yeah,
but in your house, if you have a decorative sword, do you just make a big giant ass decorative sword? No, no, you would make a sword where someone walks in and goes, "Oh, that looks like a real sword," even though it's a piece of art and it's meant to hang up on your wall. You're just not going to make a giant sword. Just be like, I'm going to have all my buddies over so they can see my fake giant sword that's completely useless and is decorative.
No, but I'm saying like if they're thinking like you're going to the afterlife, you need this bigger protection. Like,
I don't know, bro.
I'm trying to think from the aspect that it's more of a decorative.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
No?
I mean, look at, say like the, was it the Chinese emperors would make all of the terracotta.
But the terracotta warriors weren't giant.
No, but what
I'm saying is. They were normal-sized people.
I get that, but was that a one-for-one representation for the actual armor?
I think they got darn close.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, is that...
It's a scale.
Overkill? Like, would you just say, I'll just bring one person? I'm trying to figure out the logic because obviously I didn't live through that era and understand what their actual beliefs were, or even with the sword. Is it decorative?
Yeah, you're not ancient Chinese.
I have never had a Ancestry.com done or a 23andMe.
Pretty
so
sure
I'm not sure, but I don't think I hail from that nation. Although I would love to check it out sometime.
I would. They got pyramids there.
In Japan?
Yeah. No, China.
Oh, China, dude, China's crazy.
Yeah.
China's got all kinds of cool outdoor
really
stuff.
strange things that we don't really know about.
They have the Rainbow Hills of China. Have you ever seen that?
Pretty cool.
Literally look like rainbows.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy sword. Exactly. That's what I think of, Necro. Perfect. The Final Fantasy, the sword, the giant sword. 100%. I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
It could be. I'm just trying to give all aspects to it because I don't understand it if they're saying that they know that it's decorative already. Like if that's how they know it's like a funerary or like symbolic.
But wouldn't you just bury him with, well, I guess there wasn't skeletal remains, so, but I don't know. That's
you're saying wouldn't you bury them with a sword that would be representative?
Their sword in real life.
I get you, but what I'm saying is I'm trying to merge both of them of saying they're being buried. The people say, hey, we want to give you protection on your next journey. We'll give you, because we don't know where you're going.
Sure,
we don't know what it's going to be like. You might need more protection, and you're going to be this spirit or this entity that can wield this weapon in the afterlife. That's how I'm looking at it. But again, we do have instances of giants, of beings in the historical books, or at least from, anecdotes that would definitely be able to wield a weapon of this size.
Right.
So I don't put it out of the realm of possibility that there were or could have been or might still be giants that could wield this weapon.
I mean, there's so many accounts. It's unbelievable.
I'll go that far.
Worldwide.
I can't say for sure because I've never seen one, but
yeah,
I've never seen a Sasquatch either, but I'm pretty sure they exist.
Right.
Now I am, after last week with DA.
You are.
I was having Sasquatch fever dreams, just like sweating and squatching and dreaming.
Some of those images from Jesus, the gentleman,
the
gentleman that was in
Gonzo
in Breaking Bad from the Navajo reservation.
Yeah, I don't know how many.
Some of those photos were pretty.
I don't know how many people here were hanging out for that show, but apparently DA and his crew are friends with Gonzo from Breaking Bad, one of Tuco's henchmen.
Yeah.
And Gonzo, or Jesus, his real name, Payan, is Native American, Navajo, had some friends that didn't believe him that Sasquatch was real. So he went and brought them out. They camped in a tent on this
time skeptical
area that was close to the reservation. They showed in the episode, if you go watch it over on his YouTube page, they show some pictures. I don't know what hour mark it's at. But yeah, if you look at it,
weird.
It's got some very strange images going on to where I was like, what did his friend say? He's like, he's never camping again.
He's never going out there ever again. It scared the absolute heck out of him.
I was just like, man, I don't know. If I was with somebody that big, maybe I would feel okay because maybe they could hold Sasquatch off long enough if they were upset. And I'm fairly fast. Maybe Sasquatch. Well, no, he'd get me or she.
Yeah.
Hell, I'd get taken down by a baby sass probably.
You would. Baby sasser. They got that strength, dude. You know?
I know.
A small chimpanzee could probably take you apart.
That's no joke. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't last against a chimp.
So you want to move on?
I do, if you do.
We go to the next one?
Please do.
All right, cool. So giants, yes. Gosh, I wish that was a real thing. I really do want to believe.
Wait till we talk to our guests.
There's a ton of...
Next couple weeks.
I just want to see something. It's all, I didn't live in the 1800s when they were writing the town hall report. I didn't get to go to Miamisburg Mound and stand in line at the town hall where apparently they had this giant skeleton on display.
Can you imagine?
Where the Smithsonian comes to Miamisburg, Ohio, and says, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing?" They take all the artifacts, they disappear. You contact them now. Hey, where's all the stuff from Miamisburg?
They don't know what you're talking about.
We weren't there. But here you wrote that you were there. The newspapers wrote that you were there, that the Smithsonian came. And all the townspeople were literally lining up outside the town hall where this huge skeleton, was on display for everyone to see.
Yeah. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
And by the way, Miamisburg Mound is like an 80-foot conical mound, which is essentially a pyramid. That could have been a pyramid where some people think that it actually has like 5 sides. That thing could have been encased in limestone. And when you drive across the Miamisburg, that river valley, that thing just towers over the river valley, dude. You can see it coming from a mile away. Yeah. And it's like, if that was the spot and that thing was encased in Ohio limestone and polished up real nice, you would be able to see that thing from miles away.
Yeah, it'd be glistening.
And it was 30 foot taller than what it is now. And it's big now.
It'd be wild to see what the world used to look like. I was thinking about it like, if you ever do a home renovation or like growing up in my house, my parents were always changing around furniture or knocking out a wall and building this, tearing out a fire pit. And I can still walk through the house and be like, that used to be this, and this used to be that. And we used to have cabinets
your mom
here.
and dad's bedroom was where your living room is now.
Yeah, well, that was our bedroom too.
Or,
all the boys at one point.
Right, I do remember
We'd turn the strobe light on there and we'd jump back and forth between beds until somebody...
Grow up.
No, eventually we'd have a midair collision. You're playing Russian roulette.
Oh, for sure. Somebody's getting decked.
That was the extent of my dad's on-stage presence as a musician, was having a strobe light and homemade coffee can lights.
Park cans? Yeah. Like literally made his own park cans. That's amazing.
Folgers, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, we got off on track there. We'll get back on track. Here we go, Bub.
There we are.
You ready? 1,400-year-old mural of a two-faced man unearthed in Peru may allude to a cosmic realm. Okay. Livescience.com. Okay.
I'm in.
2 murals of a two-faced man holding unusual treasures, including a goblet that hummingbirds are drinking from, a detail that may allude to the sacrifice in cosmic realms, were recently discovered in a 1,400-year-old archaeological site of Panamarca. Did I say that right?
I think so.
Panamarca in coastal Peru. The murals were unearthed by archaeologists in August of 2022. Pararaca, or actually I think it's just Panamarca, is an architectural complex located in Peru's lower Nefina Valley. The hall with the two-faced men contains numerous other murals, including examples of depicting a priestess, a serpent, and a bat. Despite all the decades of study, much of the hall is still unexcavated, and more murals are likely waiting to be found. The team said it's still unknown how the Moke used this hall. In one mural, which sits near the top of the pillar, a man with 2 faces, one looking left and one looking right, holds a feather fan in one hand and a goblet and 4 hummingbirds drinking from it in the other. The second two-faced man, painted lower on the pillar, has a moving feather fan in one hand and a stick-like object that is only partly preserved in the other. Researchers say that artists may have been experimenting with how to depict movement. Both men were wearing what looks like headdresses or crowns on their heads in colorful clothing that has elaborate patterns and what appear to be sizable belts. The murals were drawn between AD 550 and 800, at the time when a civilization known as the Mocha flourished in coastal areas of Peru. The Mocha built sizable temples, engaged in human sacrifice, and created the fine works of art, much such as ceramic goblets that are sculpted in the shape of human heads. They lived before a writing system was used in Peru. So the Peru generally thought of as the Inca Empire. But I mean, just like anywhere else, there were so many other cultures living next to the Mayans that were maybe slightly less advanced that, you have these tons of offshoot civilizations.
It's going to rub off a little bit.
That are all kind of mixing and merging together. The Incans, the Mayans, they kind of just excel above everybody else.
Right.
But there's so many of these,
little splintered civilizations.
In the Caribbean island, for example, the original indigenous people of the islands, which when Columbus landed, immediately they just spread all that disease. But those cultures were super, super advanced.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, they're living right alongside the same time as the Mayans. And they're just developing out here on these islands. They're not building big pyramids and stuff. But, you have just amazing artwork.
Yeah.
Like
you need to save things. You need to preserve things historically. You know, that's from the word go. Once we started getting language and images and a system of catalog and documentation and, it's it's something that, we know that our memory can only go so far.
Yep.
And so we have to augment that and use other mediums to store our memory.
Right. I mean, these folks studying this thing are just completely blown away.
I believe it.
The hummingbirds is really cool. If you look, kind of dig in on that image with the hummingbirds, it's really, really bizarre. But look at that paint.
Right.
Just how vibrant that is.
Well,
the yellow and the maroon.
Speaking of,
so cool.
Quality kept craftsmanship from a time lost. This last weekend, what did we get to see?
Oh boy,
Crystal Skull.
Right.
Like,
oh man,
comes out of Belize and the Mitchell Hedges story.
Yeah.
Bill Holman had
this weekend. Just a heads up for what we're talking about is we were out at the Serpent Mountain Star Knowledge. Had a great time.
I had a great time.
Helped Arthur Cushman, super fascinating guy. I got to talk with him a little bit backstage.
Yeah, he's got some great stories.
Met Daryl and Michael Lee Hill and some folks that we're going to definitely try to get on the show.
Yep, got to see Terry and Tom for the day. Jeff.
Terry and Tom, hung out with Tom. Tom told me some,
By the way,
new paranormal stories.
Yes.
And we have
a close-up of that.
New piece of art that we got from Tom.
Yep, comes from the House of Fake Cops Rock Shop.
Yep.
In Locust Grove.
And little alien crystal skull.
He does some great work. He had some really cool pieces out there.
Yeah.
But trying to tie those two together of, what we're saying, storing that information and what is the skull and, what do we do with some of these?
Dude, Bill has in the morning, they do crystal skull meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're doing crystal singing bowls. And dude, that sound for just, and then the skull. And it really is that
could
thing.
Feel the energy in that room.
Mm-hmm.
That day when I walked
palpable.
in, I was like, I could only be in there for a little bit at a time for the first couple minutes because I was like, there's a lot happening in here.
Yeah.
I felt like I was getting charged up. I was like, I haven't even had a coffee yet. I got to step outside.
Yep. We were going to have Bill on the show on Friday. Unfortunately, we had to reschedule.
That fell through.
So
we were going to interview Arthur. That fell through.
That's okay, though.
No, it absolutely is. Yeah. It's just, we know that they're
Arthur's
busy
talk.
people. Yeah,
that was
they're
great.
busy.
But it was a fun time. But again, if anybody...
you have a chance to go see it, check it out sometime.
Yes.
If you see him on a circuit, his name is Bill Holman.
Yep.
You got anything?
No, I think that's good.
To add to that one. All right, next one we're going to continue on with the primate category. We're going to get into some great apes conversation. Comes from Psychology Today, and the article is from March 16th. It says great apes alter their mental states by spinning rapidly. New research on captive apes supports what Jane Goodall observed in the wild. So, a recent open access research paper published in journal Primates by psychologist Adriano Lemira and linguistics professor Marcus Perlman called Great Apes Reach Momentary Altered Mental States by Spinning. And I'll just say this first. We've probably, if you haven't ever seen a video of like a gorilla or a chimpanzee or any, they've wondered sometimes like why they do that in captivity too. And it's like, man, maybe they're just like, they've gotten to that point. They figured out like, I'm just going to sit here and do this to myself.
Right.
But the article was, kind of captivating because Goodall's observations are similar, right? That she had seen in behaviors in wild chimpanzees. So Lemira and Perlman analyzed 40 YouTube videos of 132 episodes of captive apes rope spinning, consisting of 709 rotations that mainly occurred during solitary play. They focused on the rotational speeds and duration of spinning by chimpanzees, orangutans, gorillas, and bonobos, and compared the speeds of spinning with how humans spin, right? So, summarizing their work, Lemira and Perlman wrote, closer inspection of the 43 cases when individuals released the rope revealed further evidence of dizziness. In 30 of the bouts, the animal immediately sat or laid down. In 7 of the bouts, the animal moved a short distance and then sat or laid down. And in only 6 bouts did the animal keep its balance and remain on its feet. So spinning, they are kind of correlating, induces these highs in spirituality. Jeez,
it's a tough one.
It's usually not. But Stoner and I were talking about this earlier. Like, why do this? Why would it give them this break? You know, if you do this and you kind of like hijack your consciousness, right?
Yeah.
You can make your senses fail you. That's what they're kind of finding out in that
that's
moment.
like drumming and dancing,
right?
And you build your energy up, and there's something about that sound, that repetitiveness, and the movement. You know what? Whirling dervishes. I know that's always been a
there you go.
fascination of yours.
Oh yeah,
whirling for some reason. I think you were a whirling dervish, maybe. In ancient times, or some remnant of.
Oh dear!
I don't know. Well,
not at this age. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, but that's the whirling, and you know, Terence McKenna had the stoned ape theory, where he thought lower primates were coming down from the trees, turning over cow patties, eating mushrooms, and within a short period of time, all of a sudden, these hominids, their brains grow, they start to have communication and language, and then eventually, you know, did psychedelics supercharged our evolution. Right. Apes they're very close to us. We alter our state of consciousness all the time.
Yeah.
You might not be boozing.
Caffeine.
Or you might not. Yes.
Literally, it always drove me crazy in medicine because you can give somebody water and that's considered a drug, IV. You can give somebody oxygen. If you're not a nurse, if you're a PCA and you go and turn somebody's oxygen on, that can be administering a medication. So there are all these avenues where people go, "Oh, that's a drug," or "This is a drug."
Guess what, bro?
Everything, nearly everything is a drug.
What? We're all holding. We are all holding right now. Our brain produces DMT, which is an illegal substance.
True.
We're all holding.
Yeah, it's true.
Every one of us now are walking down the street.
There's the joke that we have the best pharmacy
That's a Bill
in the world.
Hicks quote.
We have the best pharmacy in the world in our bodies.
Yeah.
Naturally occurring. We can produce almost, I won't say all of, but we can produce a lot of the chemicals that we synthesize to take care of what our body can naturally do.
Yeah.
Right?
Actually, I think that was a McKenna quote. We're all holding.
It could be. The researchers draw that parallel too, where they discuss the primate spinning.
Yeah.
Is very parallel to humans voluntarily seeking and engaging in altered experiences of self-perception and situational awareness. So that's what I was trying to say is they're doing this to shake themselves out of their normal ability to interpret the world. Like that's as altered as they can get. They can't go to the bar.
Why wouldn't you want to?
There are chimps that used to smoke cigarettes and drink beer. Like
for sure.
Movie chimps.
Yeah.
Like the chimp that was down at like it was after they were too old to be in films. There was literally like a retirement community. And this chimpanzee it was an NPR episode. He used to like
smoke cigarettes,
drink his sodas, have a beer. He'd watch his own movies. He had his own apartment. It was craziness. Bizarre, but the data also discussions and reminded me of Jane Goodall's observations of wild chimpanzees engaging what she called waterfall dances. So Goodall wondered whether these dances are indicative of religious behavior.
Right. Like
precursors of religious ritual.
Yes.
She describes
ecstatic dance, powwows, you know, drumming. Absolutely.
She said that she would, see chimpanzees approaching one of these waterfalls with slightly bristled hair, a sign of heightened arousal. Quote, as he gets closer and the roar of the water gets louder, his pace quickens, his hair becomes fully erect, and upon reaching the stream, he may perform a magnificent display close to the foot of the falls. Standing upright, he sways rhythmically from foot to foot, stamping in the shallow, rushing water, picking up and hurling great rocks. This waterfall dance may last 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, they're tripping out.
And it goes on
in their own way.
Right.
They're expanding they're altering, I should say, their normal consciousness.
I could stare at a fire for hours.
Oh,
I could sit at a waterfall.
Yeah.
So why are we don't need to have that high of intellect to appreciate something like that. A little kid can appreciate that. A baby can watch a waterfall and not get fully, but it's going to engage you. There's something about it. Like it's a show.
The sound.
It's a sound. Yeah.
Seeing it, the hearing it, the vibration.
But also trying to understand where's that coming from? Why is that sound being made? Like it's a learning experience. Right.
What's going on there?
Right.
Why do we like that?
Right. Last part of this says
built into us, bud.
Yeah, chimpanzees also dance at the onset of heavy rains and during violent gusts of wind. Good ol' ass. Is it not possible that these performances are stimulated by feelings akin to wonder and awe? After a waterfall display, the performer may sit on a rock, his eyes following the falling water. What is it, this water? So again, she's saying the same thing. They're having this like almost like spiritual, like come to Jesus moment of like,
oh yeah.
So you can do that. You can have an influence like that. You know, if my gosh, the stoned ape theory, like you're saying, like what if you gave a chimpanzee hallucinogens or psychedelics or something like that? And I mean, that's that's like a Futurama episode where Dr. Farnsworth makes the hat for the little chimpanzee and it's smarter than Fry.
Right.
I love that episode. That's
Stoner's dad asked if anybody referring to the Lancelot link, the secret chimp. Never heard about this.
Secret chimp?
Yeah. The Lancelot link, Secret Chimp, is an American action adventure comedy series that originally aired Saturday mornings on ABC. What? Oh, 1970. That makes sense. They weren't on reruns in the 80s.
Maybe this was the chimp down at the retirement home. He smoked cigarettes?
7-figure budget. Dang. Yeah. With location filming props and costumes and, oh, wow. Hey. Staging, training the animals. Dude, they used to do all kinds of wild stuff in the 70s. People were getting wild in the 70s. That's stuff you couldn't do now. Animal rights activists.
Do you think that's ever going to stop happening?
I mean, what are you talking about? Like,
how people in 30, 40 years are going to be like, man, it was wild in 2020. Well, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
In 2060 or 2070 or 2080.
Some of that.
I remember the chunky kid.
He was a detective. Okay. God, I think I remember this now, actually.
I don't. But
oh, man.
I'm glad it's out there and saved for record.
I remember the chunky kid smoking just crazy.
That's hilarious. Hey.
All right. Everybody's getting some memories stirred up. Thank you so much, Stoner's dad, for that comment.
Before I forget.
Stirring up memories in all of us.
Before I forget, because I'll forget this.
Yeah.
I just want to say, we had the episode come out last night, right? With VJ.
Orisa Balusar.
And we had the disclaimer and the robot that came on beforehand. We just want to say, if you have downloaded it, if you have listened to it, we've tried to kind of streamline that as much as possible because he does have a difficult time communicating. But we just want to say we appreciate his time and thank you for listening to that one as well.
Dealing with cancer and some chemo. And
I just really wanted to remember to say that before we cut tonight. Yeah.
But yeah, we appreciate your patience on that one. We do have a little bit of a fun robot disclaimer.
Yes, that was so cool.
Just letting everybody know. But is that all of them?
Nope, you got one more.
Okay.
You're the last one.
Okay, we got the last one we have here is...
It's the final headline.
It's the final one. Ex-Navy pilot who's seen UFOs in flight calls for investigations of aerial phenomenon. We need to be curious, he says. Former Navy pilot Ryan Graves says others are reluctant to come forward with similar stories.
I'll bet.
Yeah, and that's going to be
I'll bet.
Again, talked about this before, and this article is by Jeffrey Clark.
Get you stationed at the North Pole real
Fox
quick.
News is really covering a lot of UAP, UFO stuff.
I think they're striking the hot iron.
Interesting.
They're striking the hot iron.
I think it's a good business model for them to be
ratings are ratings.
Stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Can't wait till they make it into an episode on Succession.
Oh, my God. You love Succession.
That show's so good. Tom Wamsgams is so good. Him and Greg. If you haven't seen it, just give it a spin.
So this one is basically our weekly UFOs, our government hiding UFO information from us. And we're just going to complain here for a little bit. Okay? Here we go. So Ryan Graves, former Navy pilot, again, got this military connection. That's what it's going to take is some of these guys that have been out there in the field, that are now in government. Ryan Graves.
It's going to take a steady trickle.
We commend you.
Yeah. Thank you for doing it.
It's called on Congress to investigate the UAPs phenomenon, also known as UFOs, in the skies above the United States.
UFOs.
Graves spent about 11 years in the Navy flying F-18s in the advanced fighter plane and was also a flight instructor. However, throughout his career, he has yet to receive a definite answer on the phenomenon that he and other members of his squadron have dealt with for years. He says, while I was in the Navy, myself and others in my squadron had an experience that continues to this day, and at first was something that we didn't have a name for, Graves said. At first, objects showed up as contacts on our radar, contacts on our camera system, until eventually, Graves said, we were seeing these with our eyeballs. 2 aircraft from my squadron were flying side by side, and one of the objects went right between their aircraft, he added. Graves said that his squad member described the object as a dark gray or black cube inside of a clear sphere.
Pause. Explorers?
Yes.
Right. The bubble?
Yeah.
The hyper bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Soft disclosure.
And the black cube.
Tell you what, that's been the softest disclosure for a long time, if that's soft disclosure.
That's ultra soft. But here you go. I mean, you hear that quite a bit. Like there's a structure inside another structure. So you have kind of like this.
That's the first time I've heard of a bubble.
But the first time I've heard of
calling it a bubble, but a sphere and a
plasma.
bubble.
It's like
sphere
plasma,
and a bubble are
I
the same
think.
thing, correct?
Yeah, it's probably plasma or, it's emitting some kind
force
of
field bubble, gravity bubble. Like you remember,
but you can see it.
Bob Lazar's explanation of how a UFO actually moves is how it bends gravity. It doesn't propel itself. It just literally is tipping forward or backward like a bowling ball on a bed. And if you put your hand in front of it, you're warping the gravity in front of that bowling ball, and the bowling ball will roll towards your hand.
Right.
So that bubble, and again, it would explain a ton about USOs and unidentified submerged objects that can do crazy speeds underwater, where the drag coefficient is much higher than going through the air, unless you're in something that is not being affected by that.
Yep. Hey, Cryptid Huntress joining us.
Transmedium presence. Hey, what's up?
Cryptid Huntress, hello. She just said, my field research team documented a black cube portal one night, and we sent 2 men into it.
Wait, what?
Okay.
What does that mean? Can I go into this portal?
Well, we might have to chat.
Yeah.
You might have to tell us more about that.
Yeah, we're going to have to dig deeper on that.
Yes. Wow, that's incredible. Now, the black cube of Saturn. What is there more comments?
Necro. And then I didn't see all that. She said that, and then Necro's going, and then.
Yeah. Well, we might have to save that. Save that for an episode.
Yeah. Hey, keep that on the simmer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Or we can track down. I'm sure they probably covered it on their show. If you guys want to, check out the Cryptid Huntress.
Yeah,
doing amazing stuff.
Another very cool channel.
Yes, absolutely. So we're probably all going to go track that story. Down.
I've definitely checked out her show.
Yep. But yes, we will chat soon. Thank you so much.
Cool.
The black cubes, there's a lot of esoteric kind of background and belief. The black cube of Saturn being kind of one of these early kind of people related to these kind of dark, occultic, ancient secret societies, where the black cube of Saturn is connected with all sorts of strange things.
Right.
So the fact that, this being a black cube, the black cube portals, all these things are connected in some way. Maybe this craft, this black cube, was a portal. You know what I mean? Maybe it wasn't a craft. Maybe it was some kind of machine, a portaling machine. It's fun to think about.
That just blew my mind.
Right? I mean,
that really just blew
I think that's what we're talking about here, right?
Mind. Now I totally understand what Joel's talking about of jumping in the portal.
Would you do it?
Yes.
You would jump in the portal?
Yeah.
I'd get on the ship. Portal, I'm not getting in. I'm not jumping into the portal.
Can you stick your head in it?
If I can bring my head back
around and just see what's there.
Sure, I think I'd do that.
What if you look through that portal?
Sucked in.
I mean, obviously, you're not going to jump through it if you're going to land out in space on the other side, but
right. Well.
Okay. Well, let's rehash this though. Let's stop. God, you're getting on.
I already forget where I was.
You're getting on the plane or the UFO though.
Mm-hmm.
You will get on the UFO because there's still going to be the clone of Mike on Earth, And you can always time travel back because they can go that fast that it'll be like you never left. So you would do that one. The portal, you're saying maybe.
I don't know. It'd be a tough one.
Put you for a possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Possible.
So back to the article, if you want to hear more about that, there's a couple more points I think that are interesting. And like you said, they show up as contacts, and then they show up as on the camera system. And so they're emphasizing here that these objects were at times strangely stationary. There you go. Is a portal going to be moving around? Is this black cube some kind of thing that opens up?
Yeah.
And the black cube is just like the power source to open up the portal, maybe. And so if it's just sitting there, if the black cube was some kind of craft, it wouldn't be moving around. It's just going to hang out there and be the portal generator.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. The energy source.
But it's interesting that this guy's saying that, hey, they're not necessarily, they're stationary. They're just sitting there. Okay.
Well, but we've had UFOs and UAPs do that too with being stationary.
Well, he said they didn't behave like tethered balloons. Graves said that the squad member described the object as a dark gray or black cube inside of a clear sphere.
Right.
So maybe the clear sphere is the portal. That was because Graves said these objects could also move at extremely high speeds.
Right.
So, okay. But again, the black cube is the machine. Maybe it is something that can move around. Eventually, we could see these objects proceeding about 0.6 to 0.8 Mach on average, which is also about 250 to 350 knots at those altitudes, and that they would be either in some type of holding pattern or seemingly just proceeding in a single direction. Doesn't necessarily behave like some kind of a craft would. You know, like your typical, your Tic Tac.
Not like
your sphere, flying saucer.
No, but we've heard stories, and there are, I'm sure, many documented accounts of these same movements of dropping to like, just a few feet above water to 50 to 60 to 70,000 feet up, like in the blink of an eye to, it's tracking over here in the northwest corner of a state or city to it's on. I mean, like almost like it's teleporting, like almost like it's not even moving, but I guess I don't know if they have any kind of confirmed tracking on that. I know it just is like in a blink of an eye, these things are.
Cryptid Hunter says, yes, the cube portal we experienced moved and disappeared.
What?
Yeah. So, wow. Okay.
When you say it was a portal, that like, did something come through it that made it a portal? Because.
Local. Burton says he will straight up he's ready to watch you up close walk into that portal.
My man
is going to document it all. He's going to be the witness.
There we go.
And we're all going to hopefully see Bub again. And he's going to be able to make his way back. But I've seen Stargate, stuff come back from. She's seen Kurt Russell didn't make it back.
He didn't make it back?
No.
Why would happen?
He ended up nuking.
Oh, he had to do that.
He ended,
I forgot the movie a little bit.
Yeah. He ended up nuking the entire, like, Atlantean Egyptian civilization.
Stookie said he'll hold the rope. Me and Brad are going into the portal then.
Yep. Let's roll.
Better bring a lighter and an extra pack of cigarettes.
Right.
We're gonna need it.
You're gonna bum all Stookie cigarettes off him. So that was really the last one. I mean, that was I think that was all of them. That one was good.
I enjoyed every one of those. And
Absolutely. We have protocols set up for the next time we experience the portal. They involve ropes tied around one's waist. Yes. See?
I'm telling you.
All comes together, baby.
I'm telling you.
This is great. We're going to get back with...
That wants to trade places, like the prince and the portal popper.
My God.
That is the futuristic Prince and the Pauper. The Prince and the Portal Popper.
Wow.
So in another version,
unreal,
like
Bub.
Burton
Unreal. Unreal. Did you Okay.
Because Burton said, "What if you see
you're the Portal
the
Popper.
Other version of I'm the Pauper.
You're the Pauper.
I'm the Pauper
for sure.
Feel like jangling from life. I'm the Pappy.
I mean, portals always get brought up on this show, by the way.
I'll tell you what, first mention I ever heard of portals was the first account of
evidence now than ever.
Of seeing things coming through the portal.
Yeah, dogmen.
Portal doppelgangers are real. Wormholes create. You know what? We need to ask Tom about that, though, then. Because Tom's got doppelgangers like... Well,
what did Tom tell us?
I don't know.
What is actually happening in that house? He thinks his house is a portal.
Oh, he thinks his house is a portal. That property
is a portal.
Because he said it was made by Freemasons and how it traps energy.
It traps all the energy. It's a very, very old house designed by Masons.
Yeah.
Tom's got all the... And he just had another experience at Serpent Mountain Star Knowledge. Told me a little side story of something that happened recent. Not doppelganger related, but paranormal related.
Okay.
But... that was my theory.
Can you share
right
this?
there? No. I don't remember it right now. I mean, it's going to be way better Tom telling it than me.
That's a good point. We'll have to have it back on.
But that was kind of always my theory with the doppelganger phenomenon at Serpent Mountain in that area where we've had people in our YouTube comments hit us up. I have these doppelganger experiences. I live in the area.
Yeah.
The same thing happened to me and my sister.
We were just down there.
I was in one place. They were in another.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom was at the event. We drove by the rock shop, fully expecting, ladies and gentlemen, to see Tom out there.
I thought about stopping in just to check. We did stop by the spring though.
Yeah.
The freshwater spring that is down the road a ways from Serpent Mountain. If you go out and make a right.
It's right there. But that's where the crop circle was.
About a quarter mile.
The famous crop circle was right by that spring.
What is Mel's Hole? I've never heard of that. Have y'all explored Mel's Hole by chance? Cryptid Huntress asked.
No, I don't think so.
What could you give us a little insight? What is that one? But I still haven't drank the water from Art Bell. No, I've not heard that one. Mel's Hole, such an interesting. Okay, I'll check that out. Tell you what, yeah,
there you go, Burton.
Treasure trove there.
Yeah, we're learning new stuff all the time, guys. We just love this because, I have my own little niche of stuff I like and interested in, but, with, local legends, Cryptid Huntress, and
I'm going to be looking for that
Necro
episode.
and Flutz and Born on the Run and Justin Lamb and all these guys. Like everyone has told us about stuff. Everyone that comes on our streams,
because everybody gets
it's the best thing ever.
Right.
I mean,
it's like extending your antenna. It's like getting satellite dish of strange.
Yes.
We get all kinds of
we're
great
tuning
stories.
in the dish.
Right. Right.
And bring it on. Let's roll.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're starting to really.
Oh, that's what I was going to finish with. Sorry. Just to wrap it up, the doppelganger effect, which we kind of talked about it, this phenomenon, I think could be portal related in the sense of bending space and time. So it's merging and bending these two realities where in all actuality, there are two Toms. There's probably 1,000 Toms.
Or infinite
that are
Toms.
Infinite Toms in other realities that are maybe doing the same exact thing he is, but could be doing something completely different. Somebody's experiencing this like warp in space-time where you're able to see that other Tom in that other reality that's down by the mushroom carvings, but the real Tom in our reality is in the rock shop. You understand? So if Tom's house is a portal, which he says it is, we need to do a whole episode about this with Cryptid Huntress and have Tom on and start putting these pieces together somehow.
Amazing.
I don't know.
That would be wild.
We're on to some, because I haven't had anybody connect the portals and the doppelganger
I never knew that
stuff
doppelgangers were supposedly coming from portals. I had never heard that, but I'm very new to the scene on doppelgangers.
That's just a theory I've been pushing around in my head, and I think I brought it up on a Strange Happenings a couple times ago, of just my theory on Tom's doppelganger phenomenon and his house and property and the fault line and it could all be this giant, the impact crater could just be creating these portals or these.
The impact crater coupled with the fault line is
coupled with the haunted land.
It's like a nuclear bomb of
and
portal,
the ancientness
of weirdness
of Serpent Mound, and
think about that too. What if the energy from that area, because we know that the glacier came down and stopped, like a mile north of Serpent Mound area?
And we're going to meet up at Tom's Portal House,
Yeah.
Necro. We need to take a family field trip and just like rent all those chalets up at Woodland Altars.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
And just have like 2 days where we go down.
A Strange Road hangout?
Yeah. And just go bring everybody to the rock shop.
Talking about throwing together a party?
I mean, Tom would totally let us do a paranormal investigation. Maybe I probably shouldn't be saying we should probably talk to them first, but I mean, I think there needs to be some investigations.
I would say depending
in
on
the area.
size and scope and intention of just trying to research it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. He kind of did say the one time though, he was like, I don't know if
Researchers
they would
don't
want
wanna
you to
come
film
back.
it, or if the ghosts would want to be filmed, or
No, he was just saying researchers have come out to the house openly, but they tend to just get freaked out and leave because of all the weird stuff that's going on, that they're just like, they're throwing their hands up in the air. We don't know what's going on.
I would think we would have to share a room then or something, or share a sleeping.
I'm not sleeping there.
Where?
At the haunted house. You're crazy, bro. No.
I thought we were gonna like hang out and check it out.
Sure, that's great, but I ain't sleeping there.
Really?
No.
You're not gonna put a tent out. You wouldn't?
Maybe.
Tom sleeps there every night.
I know, but that's Tom. You know,
I mean, if it's not
their alternate universe.
what I'm saying is, I think it's okay in the sense if it hasn't affected him and like been a dark cloud.
No, it hasn't. No.
That's what I'm saying. We could.
We'll see. Anyways, we're looking way too far into the future for any of these potentials.
I love just the strain on your face when you're thinking about it. You're like, God, but still.
I don't know, bro.
Yeah, I know.
So I think we're good. We can wrap this one up. We're at a good spot, I think.
Yeah. Quick mention though.
Yeah.
That we always do at the end.
Yeah.
Please check out our page, like, subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
We're really close on a couple of things.
Yeah.
Tell your friends if you've already subscribed. We really appreciate it, but we just keep trying to put that word out.
Close to it. Yeah, we're trying to hit some goals, especially in YouTube. And
we're having a great time doing it.
Yep. So you guys can find us at The Strange Road on all the platforms. Keep listening, keep watching. We appreciate the heck out of all you guys.
You guys are great.
Everybody in the chat, all the creators in the chat, go check out their stuff. Please, everybody follow Necromechanimal because he does these incredible
images.
The show. Follow him on Instagram at Necromechanimal.
If you want a good laugh.
And he makes these awesome after the show images, and no pressure. Like if this one, all of a, you don't make one,
right? And
now all of a sudden I just said it, I'm gonna feel like a complete idiot. But he did make one of DA's episode,
which was great,
and
which was really funny.
I think we connected through Hollow Sky, and but go follow Cryptid Hunters, Burton Moran, Local Legends. We've got, I don't know if Cryptids of the Corn was in here tonight, but all these creators, all these folks, go check out their stuff, follow,
absolutely,
take a peek at what they're doing. And we appreciate the hell out of all you guys.
Yeah.
And we're signing out. Thank you to Stoner and Matt. Behind the scenes. And take us out, fellas.
Thank you guys. See you next time.
Much love.